name is Hector Velazquez and welcome to GCSAA Inside the Shop. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about welding and how to get started with welding. Now, we're going to be addressing the TIG welding process to be more specific. Let's get started. Alright, so let's start off by explaining why I picked this particular welder. Now, one, it was very budget friendly at $400 on Amazon. What the nice thing about this welder is, we're not running a welding factory or, we're not running a production line on welding. This is strictly for repairs and occasional projects. It does come with a TIG torch, it comes with a plasma cutter, and it also comes with stick welding. So you're able to do all three of these with the same machine. Now we're using TIG, so we're going to need a shielding gas, and we're going to go with 100% argon, which is what's recommended for TIG. Let's talk about some of the safety equipment that you're going to need. First thing is going to need a pair of welding gloves. Now, not just any glove, this is a pair of TIG welding gloves. They're really thin. You're able to keep your dexterity in your hands. You can hold the filler rod real easy and the TIG torch and a pair of other gloves. All right, anyways, moving on. You're gonna need a helmet, and a welding helmet. What's nice about this one, this is a Miller Elite series, but it has a really wide lens and it's auto darkening, so I can keep my shield down. Now this is a leather jacket. We use this to protect our arms, our body from the heat or the light of the arc. Now let's get ready to talk about the TIG torch. One thing that you are also going to need, before I failed to mention this, is filler rods. There's different types of filler rods for whatever type of material you're welding on, so make sure to search that. Also, tungsten rod. Now, I like using the 2% Theo rated rod, which is, what we're going to be using it for repairs. It's more than good enough. Now, we're going to need to sharpen these tungsten rods, so be sure to use a new abrasive wheel or stone, and make sure that's all you use it for. Now, you can do it by hand, or a welder once taught me to just take the tungsten rod on a drill and we can sharpen it like this. Now there's different angles that you can sharpen your tungsten with. You can experiment with that, see what works best for you. This is how I like my tungsten to kind of look like after I sharpen it. To me, it works great and it works for me. Now let's go ahead and put our torch gun together. This is the torch head of the torch gun. They're different sizes, you can get it, but here we have the heat shield that installs right on the nozzle. Then we have the collet body, and that threads right on in. Next we have the ceramic cup. Now they come in different sizes depending on the material, the kind of welding that you're doing. You want to check that. Here we have the collet. Again, the size corresponds with my tungsten, and that'll slide right in the back. And then we're going to install the long back cup. Make sure to keep an eye on that O-ring through time. Don't let it dry rot. Now we need to set our stick out on our tungsten, and usually you'll stick that tungsten out as wide as the cup is on the inside diameter. Now let's get our metal prep. First thing is we need to get our metal prep. I like using a flat wheel on an angle grinder. And preparation is key to having a good weld. So the better you prep your material, get it looking good, that's the better your weld is going to look. Now I'm scribing some lines. These lines are going to help me practice my technique a little bit, and it's just about weld time. So we're going to turn on our shielding gas, and we're going to slowly just turn the knob. Open it up all the way, and then this is a regulator, and with this knob I can set my flow, and that again depends on the type of welding and material that you're doing. Now we're going to set our voltage. Again, that depends on the thickness of your steel, but basically we're going to practice keeping this torch head above the workpiece, making consistent weld width. But more, just focus on keeping a straight line and keeping the height consistent across the workpiece. And hopefully you'll have something that looks a little bit better than this. But once you practice that and you think you got that technique kind of down packed, now you're ready for some filler rod. Now, what you'll want to do is strike an arc, wait for the metal to create a puddle, and then you'll dip the filler rod in the puddle. You want the puddle to melt your rod. Here we are initiating arc. Puddle is formed. Now I'm going to start dipping my rod right into that puddle, and then I'm going to move the tungsten forward to start a new puddle, if you will. And what you want to do is you want to practice consistency, right? Speed, the height of the nozzle, experiment with temperatures, on your workpiece and see what works best for you. One other technique I want to show you, and it's just basically 290-degree angle iron welded back to back. I'm going to set my tungsten in a little bit, but this technique here is called walking the cup. And basically you're using the ceramic cup to work across that 90 or that corner piece. Let me show you. We're going to initiate arc, and now we're going to start. Basically all I even do is just leave my filler rod in there and just walk that cup right across the workpiece. This is probably one of my favorite techniques to do right here. And then hopefully you'll have something that looks a little bit better than this, or a whole lot better. But these are some of the things that you're going to be using a lot during your repairs. And they're good techniques to get practice on. Another good thing is get that same 90-degree angle bracket, weld it face to face, and weld the seam. Practice your dipping with the filler rod. Experiment with your temperatures, your angles. And this is probably a little bit too hot, but it doesn't look bad. It'll hold. And just practice that. Now, being able to weld is going to make you more valuable as a technician to be able to just have this technique underneath your belt. I want to thank you for joining me here today on GCS AA Inside the Shop, where we're helping technicians one wrench at a time.